Yeah, hello and how are you? Hey friends, welcome to the Shen Show. I am your host, Shenandoah Briscoe, coming to you from right here in St. Charles, Missouri. Here, let's move this microphone down here where you might be able to hear it. All right, all right. Hey, you know what? Today's Thursday, April the 23rd, meaning I got a happy birthday shout out going out to Sharon Lee Sanders. Uh, Savacion, Savacion Rano, and Marty Clyne. Okay, so without further ado, here's birthday song for the three of you. Well, hey, I heard it's your birthday today. So happy birthday, I must say. You know, Sharon and Savacion and Marty, you turned 1 more year older today. So happy birthday to you, I say. I said, hey, I heard it's your birthday today. So happy birthday, I must say. You know you're 1 more year older today, so happy birthday to you, I say. Alrighty, and many more. Ya cha 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 cha. I've been poked by Melissa Holtz. That's who I've been poked by. Melissa Holtz. Alright, alright, alright. Oh, Karen, I didn't get my poke today. That's alright. You'll poke me later. Alrighty, alrighty, alright. You know, and you know, it's weather as we go. St. Charles weather forecast brought to you by Wallace Resale on Facebook is the local 5-day forecast. That's what that is. Wallace Resale on Facebook. Go on there, peruse their Facebook page, take a look around at the items, and then send a message back, and you'll get contacted by either Rick or Dawn. Will contact you from Wallace Resale. Hey, this here is Tuesday, April the 23rd. Temperature outside is 56 degrees right now. And nappy looking. Nappy, we say cloudy and dank and nasty. Cloudy with occasional rain showers, highs around 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are going to be north at 5 to 10 miles per hour, chances of rain 40%. Well, I'm going to give it 100% because, well, hey, it's raining out there now, so there you go. There you have it. That's it. That's all there is. All right, mainly clear after later on tonight. Lows around 47 degrees Fahrenheit, and winds are going to be west and southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then partly cloudy skies for Friday, April the 24th. That'll be during the morning, and then it'll give way to cloudy skies and rain in the afternoon. Thunderstorms are quite possible, highs around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and winds are going to be south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chances of rain, 70%. Rain is likely overnight, lows around 53 degrees Fahrenheit, and winds are going to be east to southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chances of rain, 100%. And rainfall may reach up over to an inch. Alrighty, alrighty. And then Saturday, April the 25th, rain diminishing to a few showers in the afternoon. Highs around 61 degrees Fahrenheit, and winds north to northwest at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Chances of rain 90%, rainfall around a quarter of an inch. And then partly to clear to partly cloudy throughout the evening and nighttime. Lows around 43 degrees Fahrenheit and winds north to northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. And then Sunday, April 26th, mostly sunny skies, highs around 67 degrees, and winds are going to be north to northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. It's very easy to create a lisp because I have no teeth to keep those lisps in place anyway. All I want for Christmas is my two front teeth. All right, anyway, mostly clear overnight with lows around 48 degrees Fahrenheit and winds light and variable. All righty, and then Monday, April the 27th. Partly cloudy skies early, followed by mostly cloudy skies and a few showers late in the day. Highs are 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and winds are going to be south to southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chances of rain 30%. And then partly cloudy skies early, followed by mostly cloudy skies and a few showers later on at night. Lows around 56 degrees Fahrenheit and winds south to southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chances of rain 30%. And that wraps up your 5-day forecast brought to you by Wallace Resale on Facebook. There you go. That's that. And that'll be that. That's the end of that. I was going to write one, but I still ain't wrote one yet, so I'm not going to do one. I'm going to write up an old, whatchamacallit, COVID song. I better hurry up because the COVID thing's going to be over with. They're going to have us all off of lockdown, and I won't have had my chance to write my song. And because I just took too long. I took too long to write my COVID song. Yes, I did. I took too long to write my COVID song. Yes, I did. Let's see, what did we have yesterday? December 5 and 20, bum, bum, bum. On December 5 and 20, bum, bum, bum. Tales of Mother Goose again. Oh, let's see, instructed by Professor Volga. List of illustrations. Cinderella in the glass slippers, Sleeping Beauty in the woods, little Tom, the Master Cat, or Puss in Boots, Requite of the Tuft, I don't know, Bluebeard, the Fairy, Little Red, and Note. Note what? Okay, page 11. It went on very easily. She met with Giraffe Wolf. List of illustrations. Oh. I don't want to know. And then there was the introduction. I don't know where I must really go. I don't know. Whoa. I'll tell you true. What I think I ought to do. Yes, I'll tell you true. Little thumb. You'd have thought they'd have called him Little Tom, but nope. A Little Thumb is what he was known as. The Master Cat, or Puss in Boots, and I done that one. These things are like, they're not even nursery rhymes or whatever. These things are like whole books. Take me forever. Requite the Tuft. Once upon a time there was a queen who had a son so ugly and so mishap that it was long disputed whether he had human form. A fairy who was at his birth said, however, that he would be very amiable for all that, since he would have uncommon good sense. She even added that it would be in his power, by virtue of a gift that had just then given him, to bestow as much sense as he pleased on the person he loved the best. All this somewhat comforted the poor queen. It is true that the child no longer began to talk than he said 1,000 pretty things, and in all his actions there was an intelligence that was quite charming. I forgot to tell you that he was born with a little tuft of hair upon his head, which made them call him Racute with the tuft. Racute with the tuft. For Racute was the family name. 7 or 8 years later, the queen of a neighboring kingdom had 2 daughters, who were twins. The firstborn of these was more beautiful than the day. Worst, whereas the queen was so very glad that those present were afraid that her excess of joy would do her harm. What? No, sorry. 7 or 8 years later, the queen of a neighboring kingdom had 2 daughters. Ones were ones who were twins. The firstborn of these was more beautiful than the day, whereas the queen was so very glad that those present were afraid that her excess of joy would do her harm. The same fairy who was present at the birth of little Recute with the tuft was here also, and to moderate the queen's gladness, she declared that this little princess should have no sense at all, but should be as stupid as she was pretty, and this mortified the queen extremely. But afterwards she had a far greater sorrow, for the second daughter proved to be very ugly. "Do not afflict yourself so much, madam," said the fairy. "Your daughter shall have her recompense. She shall have so great a portion of sense that the want of beauty will hardly be perceived." "God grant it," replied the queen. "But is there no way you can make the eldest, who is so pretty, have any sense?" "I can do nothing for her, madam, as the sense," answered the fairy. "But as to the sense," answered the fairy, "but everything as to beauty, and as there is nothing I would not do for your satisfaction, I give her 4 gifts that she shall have power to make handsome the person who shall best please her." As the princess grew up, their perfections grew within them. All the public talk was of the beauty of the elder and the rare good sense of the younger. It is true also that their defects increased considerably with their age. The younger visibly grew uglier and uglier, and the elder became every day more and more stupid. She either made no answer at all to what was asked of her, or said something very silly. She was with all this she was with all at all to what was she was with all this so unhandy that she could not place 4 pieces of china upon the mantelpiece without breaking one of them, nor drink a glass of water without spilling half of it on her clothes. Although beauty is a very great advantage in young people, the younger sister was always the more preferred in society. People would indeed go first to the beauty to look upon and admire her, but turn aside soon after to the wit, to her 1,000 most entertaining and agreeable things. And it was amazing to see in less than a quarter of an hour's time the elder was not a soul near her, and the whole company crowding around about the younger. The elder, dull as she was, still could not fail to notice this, and without the slightest regard, would have given all her beauty to have have her sister's wit, and the queen, prudent as she was, could not help reproaching her several times for her stupidity, which almost made the poor princess die of grief. One day, as she had hidden herself in a wood to be bewailed her misfortune, she saw coming to her a very disagreeable little man, but most magnificently dressed. This was the young Prince Rakit with the tuft, and who have fallen in love with her upon seeing her picture, many of which were distributed all over the world, and left his father's kingdom to have the pleasure of seeing and talking with her. Overjoyed to find her thus alone, he addressed himself to her with all imaginable politeness and respect. Having observed, after he had paid her the ordinary compliments, that she was extremely melancholy, he said to her, "I cannot comprehend, madam, how to how a person so beautiful as you can be so sorrowful as you seem to be. For though I can boast of having seen a great number of exquisite charming ladies, I can say that I have never beheld any one whose beauty approaches yours." "You are pleased to say so," answered the princess, and here she stopped. "Beauty," replied Riquet with the tuft, "is such a great advantage that it ought to take place of all things besides. And since you possess this treasure, I can see nothing that can possibly very much afflict you." "I had far rather," cried the princess, "be as ugly as you are and have sense, than have the beauty I possess and be as stupid as I am." "There is nothing, madam," returned he, "shows more that we have good sense than to believe we have none, and it is the nature of that excellent quality that the more people have it, the more they believe they want it." "I do not know that," said the princess, "but I know very well that I am very senseless, and that it vexes me mightily." "If that be all which troubles you, madam, I can very easily put an end to your affliction." "And how will you do that?" cried the princess. "I have the power, madam," replied Riquet the tuft, "to give to that person whom I love best as much good sense as can be had. And as you, madam, are that very person, it will be your fault only if you have not a great a share of it as anyone living, provided you will be pleased to marry me." The princess was quite confused, and answered not a word. "I see," replied Riquet with the tuft, "that this proposal does not please you, and I do not wonder at it, but I will give you a whole year to consider it." The princess had so little sense, and at at the same time, so great a longing to have some, that she imagined the end of that year would never come. So she accepted the proposal which was made to her. She had no sooner promised Riquet with the tuft that she would marry him on that day 12 months than 12 months on that day 12 months, then she found herself quite otherwise than she was before. She had incredible faculty of speech, speaking whatever she had in her mind in a polite, easy, and natural manner. She began that moment a very gallant conversation with Requit with the Tuft, which she kept up at such a rate that Requit with the Tuft believed he had given her more sense than he had reserved for himself. When she returned to the palace, the whole court knew not what to think of such a sudden and extraordinary change, for they heard from her now as much sensible discourse and as many infinitely witty phrases as they had heard stupid and silly, impatient before, imperescent before. The whole court was overjoyed beyond imagination at it, and it pleased all but her younger sister, because, having no longer the advantage of her in respect of wit, she appeared in comparison with her a very disagreeable, homely girl. The king governed himself by her advice. The king governed himself by her advice, and would even sometimes hold a council in her apartment. The news of this change in the princess spread everywhere. The young princess of the neighboring kingdom strove all they could to gain her favor, and almost all of them asked her in marriage. But she found not one of them had sense enough for her. She gave them all a hearing, but would not engage herself to any. However, there came one so powerful, so rich, so witty, and so handsome that she could not help feeling a strong inclination towards him. Her father perceived it, and told her that she was her own mistress as to the choice of a husband, and that she might declare her intentions. She thanked her father, and desired him to give her time to consider it. She went by change. She went by chance to walk in the same woods where she had met Requit with the Tuft, the more conveniently to think what she ought to do. While she was walking in the profound meditation, she heard a confused noise under her feet, as it were a great many people busily running backwards and forwards, listening. More attentively she heard one say, "Bring me that pot," another, "Give me that kettle," and a third, "Put some wood upon the fire." And the ground at the same time opened, and she saw under her feet a great kitchen full of cooks, kitchen helps, and all sorts of officers necessary for a magnificent entertainment. There came out of it a company of cooks, to the number of 20 or 30, who were to plant themselves about a very long table, set up in the forest, with their lodging pins in their hands, and foxtails in their caps, and began to work, keeping time to a very harmonious tune. The princess, all astonished as that at the sight, asked them for whom they worked. "For Prince Requit with the Tuft," said the chief of them, "who is to be married tomorrow." The princess, more surprised than ever, the recollecting all at once that it was now the day 12th on the which she had promised to marry the Prince Requit with the Tuft, was ready to sink into the ground. What made her forget this was that mentioned when she made this promise, she was very silly, and having obtained that very stock of sense which the prince had bestowed upon her, she had entirely forgotten the things that she had done in the days of her stupidity. She continued her walk, but had not taken 30 steps before Requite with the Tuft presented himself to her, gallant and most magnificently dressed, like a prince who was going to be married. "You see, madam," said he, "I am exact in keeping my word, and doubt not in the least but you are come hither to perform your promise." "I frankly confess," answered the princess, "that I have not yet come to a decision in this matter, and I believe I never shall be able to arrive at such as one as you desire." "You astonish me, madam," said Requite with the Tuft. "I can well believe it," said the princess, "and surely if I had to do with a clown or a man of no sense, I should find myself very much at a loss. A princess always keeps her word. He would say to me, and you must marry me, since you promised to do so. But as he to whom I talk is the one man in the world who is master of the greatest sense and judgment, I am sure he will hear reason. You know that when I was but a fool, I could scarcely make up my mind to marry you. And why will you have me now? Now I have so much judgment as you gave me, come to such a decision, which I could not then make up my mind to agree to. If you sincerely thought to make me your wife, you have been greatly in the wrong to deprive me of all my dull simplicity, and make me see things much more clearer than I did. If a man of no wit and sense replied with the Tuft, would be very received, as you say, in reproaching you for breach of your word. Why will you not let me, madam, have the same usage in a manner wherein all the happiness of my life is concerned? It is reasonable that the person of wit, the sense, should be in worse conditions than those who have none. Can you pretend this? Can you pretend this? You who have so great a share and desire to earnestly to have it. But let us come to the fact, if you please. Putting aside my ugliness and deformity, is there anything in me which displeases you? And are you dissatisfied with my birth, my wit, my humor, or my manners? Not at all, answered the princess. I love you and respect you in all that you mention. Well, if it be so, said Riquet with the Tuft, I am happy, since it is in your power to make me the most admirable of men. How can that be? Said the princess. It is done, said Riquet with the Tuft. If you love me enough to wish it so, and that you may no ways doubt, madam, of what I say now, that the same fairy who on my birthday gave me for gift the power of making the person who should please me witty and uh, majestic, justice, have in like manner given you the gift of power to making him whom you love and to whom you would grant the favor to be extremely handsome. If it be so, that, said the princess, I wish with all my heart that you may be the most lovable prince in the world, and I bestow my gift on you as much as I am able. The princess had no sooner pronounced these words than Riquet with the Tuft appeared to her the finest prince upon earth, the handsomest and most admirable man she had ever saw. Some affirm that it was not the fairy's charm, but the love alone, which worked the change. They say that the princess, having made due reflection on the perseverance of her lover, has discretion and all the good qualities of his mind, his wit, and judgment. So no longer the deformity of his body, nor the ugliness of his face, that was his hump, seemed to her no more than the grand air of one having a broad back, and that whereas till then she saw him limp horribly, she now found it nothing more than a certain settling air which charmed her. They say further that his eyes, which were squinty very much, seemed to her most brighter and sparkling than their irregularity passed in her judgment for a mark of the warmest of his affections, and in short, that his great red nose was, in her opinion, somewhat meritable and horrid in character. However, it was the princess promised immediately to marry him on condition that he obtained the king's consent. The king, knowing that his daughter highly esteemed Riquet with the Tuft, whom he knew also for a most sage and judicious prince, received him from his son-in-law with pleasure, and the next morning their nuptials were celebrated as Riquet with the Tuft had foreseen, and according to the orders of he had given a long time before. Okay, there you have it. Boy, I tell you, that was a tough one to get through, and, well, Riquet with the Tuft. Okay, well, there you go. And apparently they lived happily ever after, apparently. We'll say they did, regardless whether they did or not, okay? We'll say that they did. And that probably, yeah, it sure does. Looks like it brings us to our portion of the program called Our Daily Bread, which it does. And if you're keeping up with the Bible with Briscoe 2020, then today we'll be covering 2 Samuel 16 through 18 and Luke 17, 20 through 37. 20 through 37. All right. So anyway, the devotion for the day is called The Saddest Goose. And the Saddest Goose, we'll be reading Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 12. Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 12. Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls, and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A crowd of three stands in not quite broken. A crowd of three stands is not quite quickly broken. There you go. All right. That looks like that concludes the Daily Bread portion of the program for the day, which means that concludes the Shen Show for the day. And so I'm going to have to sing one song for you, which will go like this. Well, goodbye, my friends. It's time to go. I said goodbye, my friends. It's time to go. I hate to leave you, but I really must go. So goodbye, my friends. Goodbye. All right, this here's been Shenandoah Briscoe saying hello and how are you? And you know, as always, God loves you and so do I. So come back and see me tomorrow because, well, hey, I'll be here. And I hope that you are too. Thanks for tuning in to the Shen Show. Goodbye.